Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Buckingham and Milton Keynes Fire Authority. Before we kick off, could I just remind members that this meeting will be recorded for later update to the YouTube channel of the authority, and in doing so, I make two other points. One is we are experiencing some ICT problems to do with the change in virtual private network, but at the moment we are recording the meeting. And the other point I was going to make, following a discourse after the last meeting, I just remind members that it's our responsibility to conduct ourselves in an appropriate manner, particularly in view of the fact that the public are looking on us and everything that we say and do. So thank you for that. So, Katie, do we have any apologies?
Councillor Hussain, Chairman.
Thank you, Katie. Can we move on then to the minutes of the last meeting of the authority? Are we ready to approve those meetings as a full record? All content? Thank you for that. Matters arising? Doesn't appear to be any matters arising. Other than that, I just mention that Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary and Fire and Rescue Services, a member asked for a briefing on the health and safety implications, and the Director of Legal and Governance advised that the member, who was the new lead member for health and safety corporate risk, had met with the health and safety team and been fully briefed. I move on to item 4, disclosure of interests. Do members have any further declarations of interest beyond those already submitted? Thank you. Chairman's announcements. These are before you in printed form. I just take the opportunity to mention how pleased we are to see that we have 6 new whole-time firefighter apprentices started, and that one of the applicants came from the prevention team and 2 from on-call employees. On the further point about our involvement in the visit of the President of the United States, I know that there was some local concern about this, and that was expressed by some members of the service, but we attended both at Windsor and Chequers in support of Berkshire Fire Service, and you'll note that the Prime Minister congratulated all of the Blue Light Services personally. You'll have seen or had the opportunity to see outside the delivery of our latest rural firefighting equipment. The other that was ordered at the same time will arrive shortly. One will be at Chesham Fire Station and the other will go to High Wycombe. I have one other point which actually only came to light after this. Well, it didn't only come to light after it was printed, but we only had confirmation of this yesterday. And I'm delighted to be able to tell members, and indeed any members of the public following this subsequently, that our Chief Fire Officer, Louise Harrison, has been invited by the Cabinet Office and the College of Leadership in Government to join a new Public Leaders Programme. This is set to launch in January 2026. It's a 12-month leadership program designed for individuals, senior individuals in the public sector at CEO level. So that's chief constables, the senior civil servants, CEOs of local government, and some chief fire officers. It's fully funded, I'm pleased to be able to say, by the Cabinet Office, and the course involves 4 sessions spread across next year. We've discussed this in detail, and I'm more than happy that we have cover for any days when Louise will be away from hands-on duty. It might be helpful to you in view of the fact we haven't got a written note. I'll just give you some bullet points from the areas covered by the course. Building relationships and networks across the public sector, improving core skills for systems leadership at the executive level, enhancing capabilities to make principled ethical decisions aligned with public service values, improving knowledge of factors strategically shaping the UK, enhancing the capability to innovate and lead modernisation in a rapidly changing world. I think this is a great opportunity for not only for Louise, but for the authority, because I'm very confident that not only will she make a significant contribution to the course, but that she in turn, and indeed our service, will benefit hugely as a consequence. So my congratulations to Louise. I hope you'll join me in doing that. Thank you all.
Mr. Chairman, can I call a point of order before we move on to the substantive business in relation to Standing Order 3, subsection 12? Firstly, can I, before I move to that, just congratulate the Chief Officer. That is fantastic news and we're delighted for you. Mr. Chairman, we in this group were concerned when we received the agenda for this meeting that there were just 2 substantive items on the agenda. And given it's the responsibility of this authority to scrutinise the work of officers, I went back through Fire Authority papers and couldn't find a single one with so few items on the agenda. And given that we've got both the HMI visit coming up, we have the work underway on the training centre, there is no financial report, there is no report, dare I say, on the on-call improvement programme, there is nothing that would normally be on the agenda of the Fire Authority. And I recognise that you and other members are relatively new into your roles, but could I ask that when we get to the December meeting, that work is done to make sure we have substantive business on the agenda to properly scrutinise the work of the authority.
Thank you, Councillor Rouse. I'm sure that I take that on board, and I'll discuss it with the senior leadership team as we prepare for future meetings. Thank you. I understand a petition will be submitted under item 6. Councillor Rouse?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This petition is presented with the purpose of stopping the cuts to the Buckinghamshire Fire and Rescue Service being progressed by Liberal Democrat, Labour and Impact Alliance members of the Fire Authority, and I'll set out shortly who has signed this petition. But it is from members of the constituent authorities of Buckinghamshire Council and Milton Keynes Council. I think it's important to start from the beginning by saying that we make this petition, and indeed other issues that will raise over the course of this and future extraordinary meetings, with a belief that officers in this authority are exceptional. They've done huge amounts to get this service through a position of challenge, where indeed in March of this year we exited the engage phase and all causes of concern were removed. And the backdrop to that has been significant investment in the service, both in whole-time firefighters, and we're delighted to see the Royal Firefighting Vehicle as well, which is something that had been developed as part of the investment. Against that backdrop, the previous authority had a working group of the Executive Committee in February 2025, to which, can I say, all members of the Executive Committee were invited, where officers, and it is their responsibility to put challenging proposals in front of us, sought to explore the option of reducing 8 on-call fire engines through 2 options and to potentially close Great Missenden and Stoke-on-Church Station. We had, with that, also a draft timeline to commence public consultation on the 1st of July. It was a good discussion, but we were clear to officers that those proposals would not command support of a Conservative majority fire authority, and we asked officers to look at better use of Great Missenden, Stoke-on-Church and Hadnham stations, including potential public safety hubs, as well as looking at the potential for further investment in a whole-time pump in Princes Risborough. So that is why, Mr. Chairman, we were astonished to discover that in July 2025, virtually identical proposals, bar a switch of one station to another in an option, were put in front of the Chairman, the Vice Chairman, lead members and Chair of Overview and Audit, although at the time it turns out he wasn't Chair of Overview and Audit. With those same 2 proposals put in front of them, I would say, having seen both papers, also very little change in the data that was presented. Now, it's clear that paper sought to get member support to proceed to public consultation. And indeed, that work continued. It continued to members receiving an email setting out 2 options for these cuts without any detail. It also set out moving to staff and public consultation. We're clear that this should have come to either an executive committee or to a fire authority committee before costs were incurred on proposals that we in this group simply will not support, as we've set out before. It was also, in a staff briefing, said that we've presented some options to the lead members of the fire authority and sought authorisation to carry on with this piece of work. So attempts to say that lead members did not provide support or that it was perceived to provide support do not stand up to the remotest bit of scrutiny. It's also the case that we are going to see across Buckinghamshire and Milton Keynes significant development in housing, solar farms and data centres over the course of the next few years. That is going to increase demand on our services, not reduce them. So we believe there has been, under this chairman of this authority, a major breakdown in proper governance and scrutiny of these proposed changes, which should have come to the Fire Authority Executive. There's been a failure to properly engage community stakeholders, including members of Parliament, constituency authorities. And we believe that the previous rejection of these proposals should still stand, namely because there is no financial need, it will weaken the fire service's ability to deal with major incidents, and it will lengthen response times in rural areas and damage public confidence. We believe the public will oppose these cuts, the Fire Brigades Union oppose these cuts, the largest political group on this authority oppose these cuts, the Conservative group and the largest constituent authority oppose these cuts, and the Milton Keynes Conservative groups oppose these cuts, as do the Conservative members of Parliament. We therefore petition the members of those 3 parties to reverse these planned cuts with immediate effect and commit to a thorough review of the governance failures outlined, and it's signed by members of those. That was my little stopwatch. That's signed by members of those constituent authorities, and I'm happy to present them to the monitoring officer.
Thank you, Councillor Rouse. The petition is received as the requirement of Standing Order SOA 6, and there will be no further debate on that subject now. Thank you. We move on to item 7, questions. There have been a series of written questions submitted in advance of the meeting under Standing Order SOA 7. These have been tabulated and the responses thereto alongside them or below them, and hard copies of these are with you at the meeting today and have been posted on the authority's website. Any of the questioners present will be allowed to ask 1 supplementary question, and we can commence that now. I think it would be helpful if members could refer to the question number on the printed copies that you have. The first question was from Councillor Andy Huxley, but I don't see him in the room. Second question is from Councillor Ozzibogan, and I don't see him in the room. Question 3 was from Councillor Robert Carrington. I don't see him here today. Question 4 is from Councillor Rouse. If you have a supplementary question, Councillor Rouse, I'd be pleased to.
I don't have a supplementary on this one. I do have a supplementary on this one too. Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
I do have a supplementary on this one, Mr. Chairman, to Councillor Hussain. Councillor Hussain, thank you for your answer. The Conservative group is clear. We do not support these proposals to cut 8 fire engines and close 2 stations. Do you support these proposals?
The answer makes clear, no proposals have been submitted in any formal shape or form. We've been briefed as to the various workings that the senior team are working on, under the auspices of the briefing and they were set by the previous board, and the previous board in February and in March and February set this motion forward. CRNP, and under the CRNP, and at the moment there's no formal proposals to consider.
Thank you, Councillor Hussain, for that response. I move on to question 6 from Councillor Rouse. Do you have a supplementary?
Yeah, I have. That was a remarkable answer. I've got a question for Councillor, supplementary question to Councillor Stutchbury. Councillor Stutchbury, the Conservative group is clear that it does not support the reduction of 8 fire engines and closure of 2 stations, including in your ward of Buckingham. Do you support the proposals, including the removal of a fire engine from Buckingham?
Thank you kindly for your question, and it's very much appreciated to be able to put some clarity around it. Yes, there has been a lot of talk about proposals which are neither been agreed or taken forward, and I think it's a lot of discussion about proposals which were looked at before. There is no proposals to agree, vote on or move forward. If that was the case, they'll come forward at an appropriate time, in which case members will have the opportunity to agree, vote or discuss them. So you can't really discuss something if it doesn't really exist. And it may exist in paperwork, but officers have the right to do paperwork on a constant basis to be able to put scenarios together. And I think it's unfair on the officers of this authority to suggest that they wouldn't be operating appropriately.
Thank you for that response, Councillor.
Chairman, on a point of order on member a personal explanation, can I be clear? At no point have I stated that officers are not acting appropriately, and I'd ask that that statement be withdrawn.
Your point is noted.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. So just so we're clear, proposals have been put in front of lead members and others, and indeed no proposals emerged from the February meeting because the February meeting gave clear indication we would not support those proposals. So can I just ask Councillor Tracy Bailey, thank you for the honesty of your answer, which I appreciated. The proposals to reduce 8 fire engines and close 2 fire stations are opposed by the Conservative group. Do you oppose those proposals?
I don't oppose or not oppose the proposals because they haven't been worked up into full proposals yet. The only thing I approved at the meeting in July was the option for the senior leadership team to gather further information through informal consultation.
Thank you. Councillor Bailey, question 8 from Councillor Rouse. Do you have a supplementary? That was a question to Councillor Mariah Priestley.
Thank you, Chairman. So it seems that when members are asked to support, then give authorisation, that doesn't actually mean anything. So therefore, would like to ask Councillor Priestley, the Conservative group are clear that we don't support the reduction of 8 fire engines and the closure of 2 fire stations. Do you support the proposals, and or if those proposals come forward, will you oppose the removal of 8 fire engines and the closure of 2 fire stations?
Thank you, Councillor Rouse. In the same vein as my colleagues who've answered you, I was at the meeting in July where there were some presentations by the officers to us of the situation at hand, the context, and what I recollect agreeing to was a moving forward to informally engage with a range of stakeholders, as it were, as regards informal consultation. So from my point of view, I can't recollect any formal proposals being put forward. So really, that's what my answer would be, Councillor Rouse. Thank you.
Thank you. If we move on then to question 9, Councillor Rouse. It's a question to myself as
I have no
Chair.
supplementary on that one.
Thank you. Sorry, did you say? I beg your pardon.
I have no supplementary on
I
question
think,
9.
thank you. My apologies. Question 10 as a question to Councillor Hussain.
Thank you. Councillor Hussain, could you just please clarify whether before you submitted your answer to this question, you checked that with officers?
If you remember at the exec meeting, I actually specifically asked about Stoke Church because I specifically, phone's on, I specifically asked about the fire station in Stoke Church because a private businessman had approached me as to whether it was available to buy, rent, or let. And I was told that no decisions had been made and no proposals had been made as yet. If you remember at the exec meeting, I asked specifically about Stoke Church. So I'm still mystified as to where these proposals are to get rid of these various bits and pieces of the firewall.
Thank you. Just to be clear, I'm very happy to put the papers in the public domain, Councillor Sain, if you are. Can I just, sorry, on question 11, Mr. Chairman, can I just clarify, subsequent to your answer and speaking to the Chief Officer, it appears that when I had the August invitation to the group leader meetings and rejecting it in my defence, I was walking the South West Coast Path at the time. I appeared to have declined all of the meetings, which is why they weren't in my diary. So I appreciate you confirming, otherwise I would not have known that they were going on. So just clarification on my part on that one.
Thank you for that, Councillor Rouse.
I do. Thank you. So question to Councillor Wilson, and thank you for the extensive reply. We are clear in the Conservative group, and you make the point in your answer about safety. We're clear in the Conservative group that these proposals are ones we won't support, amongst other reasons for concerns over public safety, and you'll be aware that the Fire Brigades Union have also made clear they don't support these proposals for the exact same reason. And again, I'll stress, I'm very happy for the proposals which have been in front of lead members and the chairmen to be put in the public domain if they say that they haven't seen them. But could you please answer for us? We are clear we will oppose these cuts of 8 fire engines and closure of 2 stations. We have spent 3 years having these dialogue, and that's why we're really clear. So on that basis, and on the basis that the Fire Brigades Union also oppose it on the basis of public safety, will you oppose these cuts?
Thank you, Councillor Rouse, and thank you for clarifying that I wasn't chair of overview and audit at the point of the meeting, which had been alleged in various communications. I think, as I've made clear, I think anything that comes forward needs to be put in front of the overview and audit committee. I'm very keen that we scrutinise anything. I haven't seen anything at the moment. And as I said at the end of my written statement to you, I'd be very concerned of any proposal that's going to put the safety of the county at risk. So
Thank you, Councillor Wilson, for that response. So we'll move on to question 13. Again, Councillor Rouse, you have a supplementary.
Thank you, Chairman. This is a potential serious unintended consequence of the work that is underway on the reduction of 8 fire engines across Buckinghamshire. Could the lead member confirm whether, when he says there's been no formal work, firstly, again, has he confirmed that with officers? And secondly, has there been informal work?
To know what the definition of informal work is, but I stand by my written answer.
Thank you, Councillor Hussain. Question 14, again from Councillor Rouse to Councillor Priestley.
No supplementary on this one, thank you.
No supplementary. That takes us, I think, to the end of written questions. We move on to recommendations from committees at item 8 on the agenda. Key performance management. I think Craig Newman is going to bring that to us.
Good afternoon all. I have the pleasure today of presenting our performance pack for Q1 25-26. Before opening the floor to questions, I would like to spend a minute on updating those in the room about the format changes that have been made to the pack. The pack being presented today is slightly different from those presented in the past. April saw the service's new community risk management plan take effect. As such, the service is now focused on its 6 new objectives and enablers. To complement this, the pack you have today is now broken down into the 6 sections reflecting the aforementioned objectives and enablers. We have also changed the location of our highlighted measures. These can now be found within the cover paper as opposed to within the pack itself. One final thing to note, I'm very aware we're reviewing Q1's performance in October. This is something that was discussed during the executive committee meeting with the aim of improving the timeliness of members seeing the performance data going forward. I'd like to reassure members that the service reviews its performance on a monthly basis in which over 150 metrics are recorded, scrutinised and actions made where appropriate. To this end, Quarter Pack 2 will reach the exec in November. With all that out of the way, I'm happy to take any questions you may have on the Q1 performance pack.
Thank you, Chairman. I was waiting to see if other members were going to ask. So I just want to pick up, and I raised this same issue at the Executive Committee, but I think it is important we just get a further update on it, which is in relation to the number of fire safety audits that have been completed. And I saw, I think yesterday, that there was a recruitment underway for, I think, a protection team leader or similar. So forgive me if I got the job title wrong, but hopefully that's the right one. Obviously, this is an area where a huge amount of work was done to address the cause for concern that was removed. And amongst that, I recall at the time that HMI's observation of the service was that we had sufficient resources and they were suitably well trained, but what was needed was clearer performance management and focus of those resources and clarity about their role. So it would just be helpful, and I know that part of this as well is that the data is delayed, but given we've got HMI coming back in the new year, just for an update from officers on how we can get confidence that we've not taken a step back on protection, that work is underway to get sufficient resource in place, and that we will be back on track by the time that we get to the HMI visit in the new year.
Thank you. I think Adam Birch is going to comment on that particular question. Councillor Rouse.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. Really important point that you've raised. Just in terms of audits and the journey that we're going on, you're right. We've obviously been heavily scrutinised by the HMI historically around kind of performance within our protection function. And it's been an area that we continue to go on an improvement journey on. So just to put it into context, 23-24, we carried out 480 audits, 24-25, we carried out 610, and 25-26, we're projecting to be over 700 this year. So we are moving in the right direction. I do still share your concerns that we need to continue to focus and ensure that we attract qualified staff into the team, hence why you made the point that we're currently going out for team leader roles to try and attract new staff in and also develop the staff that we've got in service. We are focusing on this quarter, and I appreciate that the quarter for this year didn't reflect particularly well in terms of the audit numbers. However, I will give you some assurance that Q2 has seen a significant improvement with an average of 60 audits taking place per month. So I can give you the assurance that we are closely looking at this and we will continue on our improvement journey.
Thank you, Adam, for that update. And hopefully that satisfies your question, Councillor.
This is a quick ask. So thank you for that update. Could I ask, Chairman, if it would be possible at the Executive Committee on the 12th of November for us to get a specific paper just giving us some confidence on the work on protection? Because I think it'd be useful for us to have scrutinised it ahead of HMI in the new year.
Your point is noted, and we'll see what can be provided for the next executive meeting. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Chairman. I wanted to make a point that you and I have a meeting to discuss audit of the executive and what have you coming up, something I've discussed with Mr. Britton, and that is how we bring these performance measures in to the scrutiny committee, because I'm always very mindful of executive committees marking their own homework. And I do think that we also need to spend a lot more time in scrutiny looking through these key performance measures as well. So I just wanted to mention that in the meeting.
Councillor Wilson, I understand the point you make, and as you say, we have had some discussion on that.
Thank you, Chair. 3.01 deliberate primary fires and 3.02 deliberate secondary fires are in a sense a a slightly strange performance indicator. I mean, it's useful to know the information, but I don't think we have an awful lot of ability to stop arsonists per se. What obviously we can do is help people secure their buildings and all the rest of that sort of thing. I just wondered, I'm sure you've got excellent relations with the Thames Valley Constabulary, but clearly they're the people that will actually be tracking down said arsonists. Could you just tell me very briefly how we work with Thames Valley Police over that issue?
Thank you for the question. I'll pick it up if that's okay, because there's a couple of areas that I can give you some assurance on. So yeah, you will see from the pack that obviously deliberate property fires, predominantly there's a spike and a peak between sort of 7 o'clock and midnight. And also we can break that down and identify that actually a significant number of those deliberate fires happen within the Milton Keynes area, predominantly West Ashland. We're working very closely from a prevention point of view to ensure that we direct our focus alongside our partners like Thames Valley Police to ensure that we're doing some of that prevention activity. But also we work very closely with them through developing our threat of arson procedure to ensure that we can reactively and proactively put measures in place to try and reduce that risk. We've also had some really good success stories recently through our forensic fire investigation unit. So where our teams are investigating along with CSI and Thames Valley Police. And we've had some excellent results off the back of that, and we will continue to try and kind of reduce that risk and make sure that the proper sentencing is taking place where we're identifying arsonists and activity that's taken place. And just the last bit of assurance as well is that I sit on both the MK Together and the Safer Bucks board as well. And this level of scrutiny will go through those boards as well to ensure that we're working closely with our partners to share our information, our risk data, to ensure that we're kind of understanding what levels of crime are versus levels of fires versus, some of the other community risk elements that we need to consider in terms of our kind of wider approach to supporting the community.
Thank you, Councillor Sherwell, and thank you, Alan, for that response. Do I have any further questions from the floor? No. Can I just propose that we note the report on performance review? Now, I'm not sure whether it's going to be Adam or Doug Buchanan. Adam is going to be we're getting our money's worth out of you this afternoon, Adam.
I have to take the rest of the day off. Thank you very much, Chair. So this paper today seeks approval for a 6-month extension to our current funding arrangement with the Milton Keynes Safety Centre, also known as Hazard Alley. The Safety Centre, a bit of context and history, is the world's first interactive indoor safety education centre. It was first planned in 1992 and officially opened in 1994. The concept was originally developed jointly by Buckinghamshire Fire and Rescue Service as well as Thames Valley Police to give children the opportunity to learn about risks and hazards in a completely safe and controlled environment. To date, the centre still remains a valued partner, delivering immersive prevention education that directly supports our statutory duties and prevention priorities. It plays a particularly important role in supporting our serious violence duty responsibilities and aligns closely with our 25 to 30 community risk management plan to aim to deliver innovative and targeted fire safety education in partnership with the Safety Centre. So the existing funding agreement provides £25,000 per year over a 3-year period, which totals £75,000, and it's due to conclude and has concluded on the 30th of September. This proposal seeks to extend the current arrangements by 6 months until the end of our financial year, 25-26, for an additional payment of £12,500. The extension will allow us to maintain the service delivery whilst co-developing a new longer-term funding agreement with the Centre's new Chief Executive, who commenced her role on the 1st of September this year. The reach and the impact of the partnership is really significant. Between October 22 and July 25, the Safety Centre provided direct safety education to over 44,000 children and young people across Buckinghamshire and Milton Keynes. That includes over 12,000 pupils who took part in an immersive experience at Hazard Alley, and a further 33,000 who engage through in-school educational outreach, which has grown significantly over the last 3 years. It's a really positive outreach into our local communities with a targeted focus on risk most relevant to young people today. So the extension proposed today ensures that there is no disruption to that delivery of vital educational programme, whilst allowing us to take a well-informed and collaborative approach to designing the next phase of the partnership. So I therefore recommend that the authority approves the 6-month extension to the current funding arrangement with an additional payment of £12,500 to sustain the delivery until the 31st of March 2026. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Adam. We have some questions from around the floor. Councillor Banks and then Councillor Stutchbury.
Okay, thank you very much, Adam, for that information. Being someone who's visited the Safety Centre twice in the last 3 years, I think it's a sort of resource that should be replicated across the country. I also think it's quite a useful resource for training young fire officers, just to observe how to interact with children in many ways, how they're taught to summon the emergency services. And I believe in some cases it's been 5-year-olds doing it, although I don't think they train them at that age. Open water safety, the information around the hazards associated with the railways and so on, which are a feature of certainly my area in Milton Keynes, where footpaths cross railway lines. I think all I can say is I thoroughly support the continued funding of this, and I think of any people around this room who haven't actually visited it should do as soon as possible.
Thank you, Councillor Banks. I think Councillor Stutchbury, and then I'll come to Councillor Shaw.
Firstly, thank you very much for the report. I draw 2 conclusions from it and some questions. Firstly, my conclusion is it's a very positive project and that it's working well. I'm interested in 2 aspects of it today. One is the White Ribbons campaign, part of this proposal, which we did discuss in the previous council at Buckinghamshire Council, which our aligned group took a motion through council to improve safety on white ribbons. So you can imagine we are interested in it, and the opposition supported that. I'm also noting in the report that the difference in uptake between Buckinghamshire and Milton Keynes in the SEND provision, or the difference in the delivery of SEND provision. I think anyone who's in Buckinghamshire knows there's a problem with special educational need, and anyone in Buckinghamshire knows that there's a huge hill to climb in it. So I'm encouraged to see that the large take up by Milton Keynes Council, or the work in there, but there is much more work can be done in Buckinghamshire. There are many children on autistic and on the spectrum of disability and educational needs who probably would benefit from this. And can we please try to level that graph up in the coming months and weeks, because Buckinghamshire is definitely failing according to Ofsted in children's services. So I think any help and any if we all put our shoulders together, maybe we'll move the mountain, which will give people a better chance. So I hope that can be done. That's the question. Can we work to improve those 2 aspects?
Thank you, Councillor Stutchbury. Adam, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, thank you very much for that, and thanks for identifying that. We do look at that quite closely, and that's what's important about those impact reports, is to understand the level of outreach and the level of traffic that, if you like, is going through the safety centre, and where that outreach and traffic is coming from. So just to give you some assurance, we do look at that really closely. So the safety centre kind of services 6 surrounding counties as well, and I'm really pleased to say that 38% of those that went to an immersive experience was across Buckinghamshire and Milton Keynes, and of that 38%, it's pretty much an even 50-50 split if you look at the breakdown to physically visiting the centre. However, we do recognise there is a bit of work that perhaps we need to explore to ensure that the outreach programme is making sure that it's reaching all the different areas of Buckinghamshire as well as Milton Keynes, in line with what our partnership agreement is going to look like moving forward. So we've already started those discussions with the safety centre and seeing kind of what that looks like. And just to give you a little bit of assurance, if you look at some of the figures, especially around the serious violence duty workshops that are taking place, you'll see there's a disproportionate amount of children that have been interacted with from Milton Keynes. That's because the first 6 months was focused on delivery program in Milton Keynes. There's over 100 workshops that have taken place over this 6 months. That will even out those numbers. So there is some good work going on there, but I do acknowledge that we just need to have a look at that moving forward in terms of a long-term funding agreement.
Thank you for that. Councillor Sherwell.
Thank you, Chair. I had the pleasure of visiting this facility with the then High Sheriff about 12 months ago, and I absolutely agree with the points that my colleague Councillor Banks has made about its value. Anybody that goes there will immediately see the value, I think, and it is enormous. What I would like to see is rather more security of funding than simply the 6 months. Having said that, I entirely accept that it is reasonable to do just 6 months so that you have the opportunity to agree a programme with the new chief executive. But I very much hope to see this coming forward in a few months' time for an increased commitment which helps give this centre the security that it needs to have.
Thank you, Councillor Sherwell. I don't think we have any further questions. Can we move to propose that we agree the extension of this contract with the funding required? Agreed.
Sorry, Chair, your microphone's off.
Sorry, my apologies. Thank you. That completes the business of today's ordinary meeting. The next ordinary meeting, other than any extraordinary meeting, will be Wednesday, the 10th of December at 2 p.m. here.
Yeah, speak. We need to stop and then start again.